Welcome to Gamers Overnight. I'm your host, Def Shades,
And I'm Z-Man.
and we're Gamers Over the Night. Today we're gonna be playing Rust, which is currently one of my favorites I've been playing. Um, and we're gonna be talking about some of the updates it's been doing in the last week or so since we've been online. And they did a really big, huge update here Thursday. We're gonna be reading some of that off.
Yes, yep. It is actually the devlog, devblog, sorry, apologies, 121. It basically says, we are listening. This patch has a heap of community-requested tweaks and balances, from the crossbow denerfing and armor and weapon rebalancing, to building rotation and the revive mechanics. And just so you know, the building rotation is a huge help. Thank you, devs. Let's see. A lot has been done actually to this game. We're working on making the game less of a grind, and we have news on upcoming XP changes and research returning to the game. Additionally, the double-barreled shotgun and satchel charges are now in, ladies and gentlemen. They are now in, and it is definitely a jerry-rigged shotgun.
Love those satchel charges too. I made a whole crap load last night.
Right. This patch wipes the maps though, so if any of you had a map, of course you probably already know the maps were wiped, so building starting anew. All that and more on the official site, but there's a wide list of things that they changed. I will now begin to read some of it.
Well, hold up. Before we go to let you know the actual listings of what they've changed, let's tell you a little bit about what Rust is. Rust is basically a survival game that you play on a particular map that changes randomly depending on what servers you get on. And it could be anywhere from a really teeny weeny map to extremely large maps, to the point where they get it takes you an hour to get across it by foot. So basically you have to survive. You start off with your butt naked, literally, your butt naked. You have a rock and a torch, and you have 3 bars. One's your life, one is your water, and one is your food. You could starve to death, you could thirst to death, or you can just generally get killed by some random animal, bears, wolves, and so forth.
Or person.
Or person, because you will be playing with other people. It is a PvP type style game. It is not for the faint of hearts. It definitely, if you get pissed off by the game really easily, you got to be careful what servers you get on, because people will pee you off in this game. They just enjoy doing that. The server we're currently on is our personal server that we decided to go ahead and make. Feel free to join us at any time. We do have some rules on it though. No douchebags, please. And try to be nice. It's for friendly people generally. Even if you're raiding somebody or you're killing them, do it in a manner that's respectful. Don't just do it for the hell of it to be mean and our asshole to somebody. That's just not. It's not cool, you know. The name of the server is Homer T's Jelly Bean Island, and you'll see it up in my history tab right here. You'll see it right there. It has shortened daytimes, nighttime cycle, so the daytime's a lot longer than nights. You get a free starter kit when you join in, after wipes as well. We try not to wipe any experience or levels at any time unless we're forced to. We prefer not to wipe the map if we can't, but that's probably going to be unavoidable eventually anyway. Usually about once a month they do that regardless whether you want to or not. So feel free to join us on that. And if you have any more questions on there, please type it in the chat. Just let us know. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, leave it in the comments below.
Please.
All right, we're going to go ahead and read some of these off. What we're going to do is basically I'm going to read one, or Z going to read one. He'll start off. I'll read the next one, and we'll just go on down the list. If we have anything comments on it, we'll comment after each of the sayings what we put on there.
Yep.
All right, Z, good?
Roger that. First thing on is full clothing and armor rebalancing pass. 15% more body damage when fully geared.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice because a lot of people like you just shoot the shit out of them and they just walk away and heal. That 15% more body is gonna be more realistic. You're gonna be able to drop people a lot quicker. It's generally just gonna just kind of balance it out overall. And I think that's a really good thing. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. The protection from clothing and armor now add up. All slots required for maximum protection, and this goes back to the first one. They had to do that because of the second one. Basically, what they did is like if you wear a shirt underneath your plate armor, now instead of them being individually calculated, now they're added together because they both go on your chest, and then that's what takes off. So they had to make it, since you add in both of those together, they had to increase the damage so that way it could kind of negate that extra boost it was getting. So they didn't want to make it harder, they wanted to make it easier. So
Next is bleeding is displayed as total damage that will be applied over the bleeding duration.
what they used to do before is when you get basically bleed, it's just like a percentage, and it just kind of ticks off of you over time. And you didn't really know how much damage it was going to take off of you overall. Now it gives you a total amount, which is kind of helpful to know, so you know whether or not you need to really use a bandage on yourself to stop it, or you just want to let it go through. That comes in pretty handy, especially when you go against bear wolves or somebody shoots you with a gun and you start bleeding. That determines whether you want to use it now or later on a bandage. Increase bleed rates to 20 damage per tick per minute, so they increased it bleeding. So now when you do get bleeding, it's very more severe instead of barely any at all, which basically you can bleed and walk away with it and just wait for the percentage to drop off you. Now you're taking so much of a damage, it could kill you pretty quickly if you don't stop it quick.
Next is increased bleeding from 20 from weapons to 20% of the applied damage.
Here's another thing is where they were trying to add more damage on overall of the bleeding. They're trying to make it where bandages are more viable now than they were before, which, if you're bleeding, I mean, think about it, if you're in real life, if you get shot, if you don't stop the bleeding, you're a dead person, even if the shot itself doesn't kill you. So this is more of a realistic type thing. I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. It does make you want to have bandages on you more often. Revive takes 6 seconds to complete. Hold down E. So now when you walk up to a person, you have to physically hold the E button to get them up. And this is a substantial difference. Before we could just tap it and run off, and makes it not viable. It gives it a time limit for you to have to do it.
Right. Also, another thing that also is kind of nice is cannot move while reviving.
Which leaves a whole another tactic in where you can shoot a guy's buddy out in the open. If you don't finish him off, you just let him sit there and scream. His buddies will be intending to go out there and try to raise him, and when they do, you can pick them off as well. This is an actual real-world tactic that they use. Some of the people in overseas that we've went against, the U.S. has went against over time, they used to use a tactic where they would shoot one of the military officers out in the open and pin down the rest, and then to stop shooting and make it think that they were left so they could go out and get them. And when they would go out to get them, that's when they would shoot to kill them.
Dirty move, dirty move.
Revive attempts delay players' death. So every time you attempt to raise them, and you have to stop for whatever reason, it actually extends the timer out for that as well.
Bandage and syringe no longer revive players. I didn't even know it did it before.
Yeah, well, yeah, if you use it instantly on them when they're on the ground, it instantly raises them. It used to raise them. Does not anymore, which is understandable because they're trying to make it a little bit more time-consuming to raise somebody up.
Your turn.
Basically, increase players' wounded time. They increased it up to 40 to 50 seconds. So you basically have in between half a minute to almost a full minute to get them raised up or at least to start raising them. If you have to stop for whatever reason, then the timer extends out from that point. So
The next is reduced projectile radius of slug shot, buckshot, arrows, and explosive rounds, which is nice. It gives you a smaller reticle, but I don't know why the slug shot would have a smaller thing. And honestly, it looks like a daggone, like they use a choker instead of an actual slug when you shoot it.
yeah, it's not actually like a one projectile. It's from what I can tell, it seems like about a 3 projectile. It just basically looks like a basic smaller size buckshot. It's just like 3 instead of like 12. But what they're talking about radius is they want to make it where the explosive rounds is maturely mainly towards the explosive rounds. They've tweaked those quite a bit so that if you're behind a barricade or a window block, that you could hit that and they could still take possible damage from the explosion. At first it was too big. They made it where it was way too big. You could take damage from a considerable amount away. So they did shrink that quite a bit. But they also got the explosive rounds actually working because prior to they weren't even doing that at all. So. Here goes Z.
Oh, really? Oh, I just thought I did the radius. Increased headshot multiplier and throwables and arrows to 1.5 from 1.25.
Now this is going to be great because throwables really weren't all that great recently. They finally made it where throwables actually do more damage. Also, by throwing an object, it actually takes durability on its own as well, which is an awesome thing that they're working on the throwables. That makes it a little bit more to take that axe and just chunk it at somebody compared to before, which you didn't really want to throw anything at anybody. And the arrows increase is great. It's going to make the crossbow a little bit more viable because they kind of broke it about batch 2 back, and then they fixed it again this go around. So this is a really nice scene. Pressing R rotates the placement guide to deployment and building blocks. This is where we summoned earlier, where you rotate the items. Not only does it do the items, but it also does the building things. This thing is incredible. I mean, this thing should have been in the game from start. This is one of the #1 things the devs said that we wanted, and they actually listened to us, and they got it in there.
Alright, Nick. Alright, you just did the rotation. Alright, so server now verifies projectile path between checkpoints. Anti-hack. Nice.
Yeah, what this basically stops is, this is going to stop those hackers that uses their fast-paced machine guns, of bolt action or other ones, or the ability to basically snipe you all the time, no matter what. This is going to help with that. It may not fully stop it, but it should at least reduce some of the issues. Projectiles can be picked up immediately after they hit something. So when you throw those spheres or you shoot arrows, and it used to be like you have this time limit, you couldn't even do anything with it. But now you can immediately pull them out and put them right back in your inventory as soon as possible.
I don't know about that. I just did that, and I shot a bear earlier, and it might still have a little bit of a delay on it, I think, because when I shot a bear earlier, I couldn't take it immediately out.
Yeah, I noticed it wasn't like it said, and also I'm still seeing that hovering stuff where you shoot stuff and it breaks, and then like your arrow just hovers in the air.
Right.
Yeah, that's.
So I don't think they got it totally fixed, but it's definitely better than it was.
It was something they were trying to work on. It looks like they didn't get it in time. I know they were rushing with a lot of this because the main guy was actually on vacation, and he didn't get back to like the day before this patch came out. So I think they were kind of rushing, and then they just didn't get it all sorted out beforehand.
Right. Another one. Combat log now correctly displays the last 30 entries.
About a patch or two back, between our last broadcast, they started adding combat logs into the servers, so that way they can determine a little bit better on the weapons and damage of armor, so they can balance that out. To be truly honest, they should have had this in from the beginning. Almost every game that has combat in it has a combat log. It's kind of hard to balance anything without actual numbers. And with this combat log, they should be able to do more quickly of getting those things balanced down for us. Speaking of that combat log as well, as the next one is combat log now includes the ammo type as well. So that, I mean, being that we have different ammo types in this game, that's definitely something they added onto that, which would definitely help them keep that in par.
Right. Semi-automatic pistols now hold 10 rounds from 8, so that's a nice improvement. That allows us to put 2 extra caps in your butts when you attack us.
Now, that being said, though, I did see a post yesterday on their updates, what they're doing to basically what we're going to be getting next Thursday, and one of them is they're going to reduce the damage of that semi-pistol, and I think it's because it's got more rounds, so people are getting killed better from the 8. So I think they did to reduce the damage just slightly. Even though it gets more rounds, they had to do damage because, well, it just was way too high. So they probably could have just went with like 7 rounds and resolved it. But instead they went with the damage reduction method. So we'll see how that works out next week.
Right. Revolvers now hold 8 rounds from 6, which is a really weird customization. Not too many. I didn't know revolvers came in 8 shooters.
Actually, they come in 8s and 10s too.
Oh, real nice.
Yeah. But the most famous is probably the 6 shooter.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know how this one's going to be. The revolver itself is a very powerful pistol, and the ability to be up it all the way to 8 rounds, that makes it very dangerous because the revolver can shoot a very long distance for a pistol. It can shoot equivalent to what the semi-rifle can shoot from a distance, which is crazy because it's a pistol and it still does all the damage when it hits. It's just one hell of a thing to aim. But it is very viable. A lot of people prefer it over any of the other weapons.
It just stinks because there's no customization.
Yeah, well, this kind of thing. By the way, did you know you can put a scope on a crossbow?
Yeah, I knew that. I have one of mine at home.
I did not know that. I did not. Well, I know you can do it in real life. I just didn't know you could do it in the game.
Oh yeah, I knew
saw
that.
somebody on a video the other day have a red dot scope on one. I'm wondering if that would actually. I mean, a red dot scope would probably make that thing so much more easier to aim. Cause I think it's very hard to aim.
Oh yeah, it is. It definitely is. I used the scope.
I'm gonna check it out.
I used the regular scope on the last server that we were on. With the hacking buttheads.
Well, I probably do like multiple ones like people do now. They like put multiple ones on their bars so they can just switch over so they don't have to worry about reloading issues.
Right.
And then put them all with red dots, and if it works out. if it'll kill a bear, that's all I care about. I hate them fucking bears.
Alright, fixed semi-automatic pistol doing 39.99 damage instead of the full 40.
Now, the funny part about this, in his patch notes that he did in release, he said, "You're fucking thankful," because everybody was complaining about that 1.01 damage. I mean, come on, it's a 0.01 damage, and people was bitching about it so badly. It's like he was like, "Really, you're gonna make me have to adjust it by 0.1?" And so he finally did it. He's like, "Y'all are fucking welcome," because apparently it was a pain in the ass to do.
Right. It must have been deep into hard coding in order to get that to change. I mean, seriously, it was 0.01.
I mean, even if you shoot somebody 100 times, you wouldn't be able to see a big difference there. You probably won't even see a difference there, to be honest. It'd probably be around the same damage no matter what. I don't even think it'd be a point difference.
There's probably people OCGing on it.
people in their details, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Fixed
yeah,
being
yeah.
unable to manage other players. Sometimes you could not manage other players. It wasn't a thing. It was all the time. It was just sometimes. It looks like they finally got that fixed, which does help quite a bit because now you can get experience from doing that.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh,
So you can be a
Not-
medic. You can only
not
only
medic.
get experience one time though, per person.
oh, that's kind of messed up
So
there.
well, it's to keep people from farming it from like a guild or something.
Right, I understand. Dang, Pinky, you're close. Um, let's see what's next. Bandage players. Okay, fixed feet hitboxes being outside of the collision bounds on wounded players. What?
I mean, if somebody goes down, the hitbox where you would shoot them at was outside of the area where they could actually hit it.
Oh, that's messed up.
So say you shot somebody in the head or in chest and they fell behind a barricade. The only thing that was sticking out was their feet to finish them off. You wouldn't be able to shoot their feet because it was not viable. It wasn't. It was just out of the range. So now they put it where in. So if you actually shoot somebody in the feet, they're gonna go down. So they better make sure to
Yeah.
wear the boots.
No, yeah, and don't fall asleep with your feet sticking through the wall.
Yeah. Oh yes. See that happen a few times. Fixed rock box stacking exploit. I have no idea what that is. Apparently it was something to do with the rocks in the area, and they were taking boxes and stuff. I don't know, but they fixed it. It was an exploit. Apparently it was something important enough to fix it. So
Right, I never heard of it. Fixed grenade view model sometimes getting stuck in throw animation. Never had that problem, but alright.
you can imagine the animation, man. Just running at somebody, and just character stuck that way. It's funny. Looks like they're having some kind of Tourette syndrome thing going on. Fixed. Let's see. Fixed layer toggle with no name in F1 tools. Basically, when you go into settings, the layer toggle you turn on and off would get stuck, and then it turn your no name off, which would turn your tags of people off. Which I really never experienced it, but people saying it was a bad problem in some servers. One I'm having now is my drawing on stuff. That's the one I have now. So
Yeah, you have trouble drawing on those signs, don't you?
yeah, I was having it again last night. I'm thinking maybe it's a setting that's messing with it. So I went through and
Quite-
started playing with the settings.
Quite possibly. I'll have to try and see if it does it for me too later. Next one. Fixed player jump animation not playing. Again, one I never saw before.
Well, if you ever noticed it, and I notice this quite often, when you go to hit jump, if you watch your shadow, it jumps late. You jump, jump and hit the ground, and then your shadow goes.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, well, see, the shadow is actually you in the game. That's what other people see. And you move, the animation didn't move. So, like, you jumping, but everybody else sees you not. So, a lot of people use that to identify who's friend or foe. They'll be like, jump check. People jump, but the problem is, not everybody was jumping. And then they would get shot by their teammates. And that was a big issue. I personally never experienced it,
That's because
but
we don't
I
got a
have
giant
seen it
group.
done once or twice.
We don't have a giant group like they do, that's why. It's sometimes good to be working small squads. Added hurt admin console command takes amount of damage as perimeter.
No idea what that means. But
That's just weird.
added a hurt admin command. I mean,
Okay, guys, get them admins.
something about admins can do something about hurting. I don't know. But another one about the jump thing is apparently next go around they're going to be adding in the crouching tiger hidden dragon jump pose for jumping. So that's going to be kind of cool looking.
What?
Crouching tigers hidden dragons jump pose It's like when you bring your feet up real high to like your chest, put out your arms, and you
No, Lord.
like spring on somebody.
Right,
They're
I
gonna
got
add
you.
that animation into the jump.
Oh, God. Okay, dorky
Well, it's been a
much?
big thing. Well, it's been a big thing for a while, and everybody's been wanting it. And it's something that they were playing around with at first. It was kind of a joke, my understanding. And they finally decided they're going to go ahead and put it in. So, as of this
I mean,
thing, they said they were going to actually try to add it in the next go around.
oh, that's fun. That's gotta be funny. I could just imagine the amount of people that's gonna be running and jumping like, what?
Well, now since they made melee weapons a little bit more viable, because they upped those last patch, and then they made them where the throwing of them is more viable. I think people can see a lot more people using melee weapons, and especially early on in the game. So seeing the people doing that is definitely going to be an option. Because right now, jumping around like a fool and running like back and forth is the only way to dodge people.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, well, I'll tell you this much. Debs, if you ever see this video, please add in throwing stars, kunai, and samurai swords. I need a katana, dang it. Next, improved rendering performance again.
Yeah, they've been trying to get the rendering performance tweaked over and over and again. They've been doing it. Still probably needs more tweaking. They're trying to get that CPU usage down because it's been really kind of just been tough on the lower end computers that can't really support it very well. And the larger end computers are not seeing any difference in performances because of it. So even though they have a higher end, they're literally seeing no difference than what a lower end computer would see, and it's just not optimized. So they're going to be working on those. They said they're probably going to be working on those in the next couple of months, and it'll put in a little bit of additions every time around. So hopefully they'll get that resolved eventually.
Right.
Improving players' preview lighting and added anti-aliasing. Blah, blah, blah. This is another improvement they're trying to go in. They're trying to tweak those. There's no telling what they're going to do, whether it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. Just time would tell on any of those.
Really? Alright. Fixed flow around player preview. Or did I skip one?
No,
No,
that's
you
right.
just-
Well, that in there is supposed to be like when you bring up your character and you're looking at your, inventory in the way that goes there. They're trying to make it a little bit more fluent. And when my wife was having an issue with her character, literally turned white on the screen, literally like a white cutout, like somebody cut out her character and ripped it off the screen. It looked weird, and she was having that issue for the longest. So. Fixed Hapes Lake Waves. This is one of the things they added for the water fixtures. People that have their graphics upturned where the water can affect. This is one of the issues they had, so they had to fix that.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. Fixed TSSAA flickering when switching items. What the fruit is that?
I'm having that issue. I don't think they actually fixed that because I'm having that issue now. Especially when you swap, when you roll your mouse over and you have an item on your bar, and you swap over, sometimes the skin of it will flip out. It'll show hands, or you can see through it, or it would just completely disappear. So it was having issues with that quite often. I'm still having somewhat of an issue with that, so I don't think it's completely fixed. So they need to reevaluate that one, devs. Somebody goofed on that one.
Get them! Get them!
Fixed revs not defaulting to 1 when client config is missing. Okay, so basically you have a client configuration file, and when you would delete that, it was supposed to go back to default 1, but sometimes it didn't. So this is where you would have like a troubleshooting issue, and they tell you to delete the client save file to help resolve the issue, so you don't basically have to go download the whole game again. And it was supposed to go back to default 1, but for some reason it just never would. It just kind of gets stuck in limbo mode, and they finally resolved that issue.
Oh, that sounds like it'd be nothing but a pain in the butt. Let's see. Fixed rock/cliff texturing, female skin, and other glitches introduced a couple of weeks ago. Why would you introduce that?
Well, I don't know. On the rocks and cliff texturing, it looks better. I had it on 5 last night when I was playing around with my settings. It does look a lot better. And as far as the female skin thing, I'm not for sure what that was. I mean, my character is a female, but I can't necessarily see her, so I have no idea what they're referring to on that one.
Maybe she looks actual girl now.
Still bald.
Doesn't matter.
And this next one that Z's fixing to read is definitely something that everybody's been wanting really bad.
Can sprint with crossbow again. Yay!
When they took that out, they really was an uproar in the forums about that one. Everybody was like hating them because so many people use that multiple crossbows as their main battle thing. And it's mainly because the crossbows are so deadly. So them bringing that back was a big, huge thing that everybody loved. They have crafting time for ladders, beds, campfires, ceiling lights, cupboards, bows, and crossbows, and half. So that is crazy good. I love that one.
Right, that'll cut down that because sometimes waiting it kind of sucked waiting a minute and a half to 2 minutes for a box.
This next one's gonna be really good too. I used this one last night.
Yeah, this is really nice. More than half the crafting time of explosives and gunpowder. I like that one, especially the gunpowder. Ooh. Ooh. And they added the satchel charge. I forgot about that. That's real nice too.
Yeah, satchel charges are great. I made a bunch of those last night. They're relatively cheap to make. They're basically a poor man C4. Literally, it does blow up. It does take a little bit more, and they're very, very unpredictable. Like, extremely unpredictable. Some timers can be short, some timers can be long, sometimes they don't go off at all. You have to reset them, and, well, your point-blank range, and it will kill you if you're close to them. So you definitely have to make sure you get that distance. So if you click on it, you better run like hell.
It's the hillbilly version.
But they're very nice because it gives a way to take down sheet metal doors with practically no effort, and that's what a lot of people use these days is the sheet metal doors. Very few people actually use the armored. We use the armored. I just prefer armored. But very few people use the sheet metal, and so a lot of people use the sheet metal over the armored. And this will give a way to be able to blow those up with very minimal effort. So you're not using your more expensive C4 on smaller stuff.
Right, which is really nice in all honesty.
Definitely.
Alright, let's see. Fixed explosive rounds dealing double explosive damage. We just covered that earlier, did we not?
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. Slightly increased cost of bean can grenades. So because they had implemented it in, they had to drop the cost just a little bit to prevent abuse, per se.
But they increased the cost.
Right. They made it where it's a little harder to obtain. Well, right. They decreased C4s and increased that one.
Roger. Alright. Reduce cost of C4. Oh, you just said that by 20%.
20%. You know, that's 20% doesn't sound like a lot because it isn't. It's only 5.
Right.
Five explosives you save. That's it. You still got to pay 20.
That's still freaking better than what it was. 25 was just. I mean, 20. I mean, it still sucks, but it's good in my opinion. Taking 5 off really does help you in the long run. Because if you make 4, you still got enough for 1 extra charge.
Yep. See, now this is where I think a lot of people's gonna start switching over to armor doors. Armored doors available at level 17 now. So I'm seeing a lot of people's gonna be switching to those armored doors more. If they're wise. If they're not, well,
they're gonna have an empty house. Or take away from them. Added XP to healing other players. You already covered that earlier. Remove gathering, diminishing XP from other players. 20% XP. More XP sooner. Huh?
Yeah,
What that
basically when you give an axe or a pick to somebody else, it takes a very long term to get those returns because you have to, they may not use it or they may die or whatever. It takes a long time for you to actually start seeing that investment come back to you. So what they did is they took off the diminishing returns, so that way you get more from the player that uses it faster. So when they actually do use it, you'll actually obtain it before they lose it.
Oh, nice.
Shelves unlock at level 5. Plus, they're 80% cheaper.
Oh, thank you, Deb.
This is something
Thank
they
you.
should have done a long time ago, because honestly, shelves are something you need when you start building up. Because you put your storage boxes down, and then later on when you finally get the shelves, you have to pick the damn things back up just to put another back, stack them, and that's kind of a pain in the ass. This just
No, you
kind
don't
of
pick it
resolves
back
that.
up. You don't pick it back up. You actually gotta destroy your boxes and make new ones.
Which, by the way, Des, that would be a nice feature to add. Picking items back up to move them. Yeah.
Yeah, just hint, wink, wink.
Just a little bit would be nice.
Wink, 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 devs. Come on, wink, wink. Reduced metal cost of wood wire, and metal barricades.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit cheaper, which is nice.
Gotcha.
They reduce the level requirements of wood wire, metal brigades, plus spike traps. So they make them not only cheaper to make, but they also make them a little bit sooner in the trees. So you can get it a little early on.
No, that's nice to have then. Especially the spikes. Come on, people, come
Definitely.
raid my house. I make you spiky foot. Oh man, one of my favorites, ladies and gentlemen, is they added the double barrel shotgun, the redneck's dream weapon.
I haven't got a chance to experience and actually shoot it myself, but from what I've heard and what I've saw, it's definitely hard to aim. But I heard it does pack a pretty good punch for a two-shotter. So it may be, and I know they're going to come up with some more improvements on it later. So hopefully they'll improve on it and make it actually a better thing overall. But I think if you actually stack those up on your bar like you would the crossbows, I think it would be extremely dangerous if they kept it the way they did. So now this one coming up is my personal favorite two. These two are hand to hand, and I'm going to read them both. Is auto turrets. Auto turrets' health has increased to 1,000. That makes them really hard to destroy. And they increase their damage by 50%.
Yeah, they'll jack someone up even in armor now. This is nice.
They will screw you up badly. So this makes them so much more viable to keep in your base. So much viable. And I noticed they didn't put it on here. But the patch back or so, they actually made them earlier on so you can obtain them even earlier. And I think that's like 17, I think. So you can get them pretty early and start making them. And then the things that make them, which is the CCTV and the targeting computer, you can now get out of boxes and crates from buildings.
Right.
So it's
Thank
an even
goodness.
increased rate of even making them now.
Right, which is nice because they kind of sucked it and you had to wait for a drop.
So now they're
It
going to
really-
be useful. A lot of people didn't even want to use them because they didn't do enough damage and all. But I always thought they were at least a good deterrent from somebody. But now they're actually a really damn good fence.
Especially when you got 5 of them aiming at a doorway.
Which
I don't know about you, but I wouldn't be going in there with 5 machine guns firing at
in
my
the
ass.
rumor we saw that this week is they're going to be adding a door trap soon. And it's basically like a shotgun on stilts.
It's
one
basically
shot.
It's basically a Fallout trap.
So it
For
looks
those
pretty
fans
cool.
of the Fallout.
It sounds pretty cool. Now they're going to implement it in. Can't wait. I would definitely want to try it out.
Yeah, boom, boom. Loot tables for raid towns, handcrafted, and contain less junk.
Yeah, they made it where it's actually more viable now. They made it where you can actually get weapons and lots more bullets. Instead of getting a little bit of bullets, you get a lot. compared to before, and they made it just more viable in generally, which is supposed to be pretty nice. I haven't actually experienced it yet because I haven't actually ran up there and banged on anything, but I heard quite a people has done it, has definitely loved some of the loot they've been getting.
Huh.
Ammo stacks can now be found in raid towns.
Oh yeah, that I found that one out personally. I was so giddy when I actually found incendiary rounds in the raid town, but they were rifle rounds. I was like, hell yeah!
Yeah, so you can actually just if you don't want to like make your ammo, you can just go out and farm it, which is pretty nice.
Right, but you also got to be aware of your environment.
Yeah, players will kill you.
Yeah, they take your good stuff. Max condition of items is now shown as a red bar. When you repair your stuff now, ladies and gentlemen, it actually shows that the durability degrades over time. Apparently, it was there before, but it just did not show visually. Now it shows visually that your gear just gets worse over time as you keep repairing it.
Which I never knew that. Or I probably would have just thrown it out anyway, which most of the time I did. That just make me a new one. Except for my guns. That's the only thing I didn't do.
Well, I still use I repair my tools at least twice before I toss them out. But I do think on the tools at least, I mean I can understand the weapons how far it goes, but on the tools it kind of sucks because they take out quite a chunk. It's almost an eighth every time you repair it.
Well, they're trying to do it where they may try to make it where you would spend the resources. You know, they're making it where people just ain't hoarding them. They're actually having to spend them as well. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get those resources dug out.
Well, right. Well, I'm sure that's nice and all good, but if you don't have the resources to help defend your base, because you had to spend it all on tools, it kind of sucks.
That's why it's a partner game.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
I do not recommend playing this game solo. I do not recommend it. You will be at a disadvantage against most people.
And it's a rage fit and a half, and all that. Yeah, I experienced that. I'll tell you what, though, to the devs, this goes back to earlier with the turrets. It would be very nice if you could also add something like a shotgun turret or a machine gun turret that uses like Thompson ammo or something, so that way we could have multiple different types. So that way, if we have
the door trap one does use shotgun ammo.
Well, that's
so
what I'm saying.
They just need one that needs pistol ammo.
Right, but that's a one-time use thing. You got to reload it every time. I want something that actually sees their button will unload like boom, 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 boom. That would be nice.
I want remote traps, remote control traps. Remember?
Yeah.
Boom. That way you can set them off when you want to set them off, not just because somebody's standing there.
Yeah. That'd be really nice, especially.
Be nice to set somebody up for a good situation and then blow them up.
What about a remote control trap door? That would also be really funny. People raiding your house, they're running across the floor, you click that button, they fall right into a pit trap.
Or fall in a pit of, like, turrets.
Oh, God. Yeah, they fall to the bottom, they're already hurt, they're like, oh, next thing you know, you hear beep, 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 beep.
Oh, man.
You look down, all you see is their body getting riddled with bullet holes.
That would be
and
awesome.
They just drop. That would be pretty cool.
They fixed weapon view models sometimes being partially see-through an exploit.
What?
Basically, that's that glitch I was talking about earlier, that sometimes your weapon just kind of disappears, and you can actually see through it. It makes aiming a lot better. So people was doing it intentionally so they could aim easier. That was being exploited pretty often, so they resolved that issue finally. It finally took them long enough to do that. And this is basically the summary of what they've done, and for this go around. And some of these things may change in the future. I mean, this is a alpha game, currently on version 967.76 of their alpha. But to be honest, they're working their way. They have took a long time to get where they're getting, but I think they're still going in the right directions. As long as they continue to listen to people about smart ideas and implementing them into the game, I think they'll continue pushing forward. Unfortunately, that they're not doing it very fast, but they do have it where you can access this game now instead of later, which is really big rush for them at that point, which is understandable. Because if they're selling them, people are playing it, it's really no rush to begin with.
Right, and it can help, and it also helps us players in the long run because it helps us help them tweak it to the way the players would like it.
Yeah, that way when it's finally is said and done, it'll be exactly what we want. Whether we played out by then or not, that's a different story. But at least the game would be what we would want it to be at the end, and that's what really matters. I think they're working a lot on that. They're doing a lot of community things where they're taking the community's sketches of weapons and things and taking those in consideration to put that in, and that's really, really good thinking. I'm glad they're doing that because they come up with some great stuff, and one of this double barrel shotgun is one of the items that was done, and it's very, very good concept. A little too big myself. I think they went a little oversized with it.
Well, you gotta remember, this is the hillbilly version, man. This is what we hillbillies would like to create.
But it's still way too big. I mean, come on. You gotta put the shotgun shell in there. It would just fall out the front end.
Well, I don't think so. I loaded a shotgun shell. It looked like it fit pretty dang on good. They just used a larger pipe. That's all.
Yeah.
The pipe's really thick.
The pipe is like big enough to put my hand in.
Well, maybe this hillbilly wasn't super gun nut. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he wanted to make sure it didn't blow up in his face. Use too thin a pipe, man, and it will go off in your face. That shit hurts.
But maybe we'll see. Hopefully, they'll keep going down the right paths and keep it moving forward. That's what everybody wants. I know they said they've been working on raids lately. They say they got some more stuff improved for raids coming up. So hopefully they'll keep that progressing as well. Even though I hate being raided, I'm still part of the game. So.
Right. That's the beauty of the turret. Bring it on, hippies.
But we'll go in there. We started building our base the other night. We got a majority of it done. We still have quite a bit to do on it. Got to get a few more levels, the sleeping quarters and so forth done. I did get the where our chests go implemented in. Started double stacking those through. Even started putting up some signs. That's where I got last. I was trying to make the signs to say what they are from what to what. But my painting wasn't working, so I never got finished with it. Got frustrated with it, and then decided to go ahead and try to go to bed.
Right.
So
no need to have a rager.
Hopefully, sometime after you'll be walking through. Hopefully, we'll get the bases done today. And then we'll be able to go through some towns with some radiation suits. Because we do have radiation on our server. So we might get some radiation shoots and go explore some of the new towns that they've added the graphics to. Like the airport and Rad Town, I think it was. The airport, another one, I think it was Rad Town, that they improved the graphics. And then like one of the newer ones that they've added in was the military tunnels. I actually never been to them, so I'd like to go to them and explore them, check those out, even though it's not graphical enhanced yet. But from what I can tell, the Rad Town, we went to it a couple of times. It's one of our old servers. It was literally right next to us, and it was small.
It wasn't even a town. It was more like a village.
Like one building in a van. That was it. And then it had like a little pump or something next to it on a hole. But they supposedly enhanced that. I don't know if they did it this go around or fixing go around. But one of those was seriously enhanced. So.
Right. Death Shades has awoken from his deep slumber. We all gonna die. Run! I was trying to get that hole in the floor to help Pinky, so I went to go make a satchel charge to get it out of the way. And then by the time I got back, it was freaking gone. She already had it dug out. Yeah, I caught a fish.
So,
Man, I don't know what it is, but them daggone dogs and bears love the front of your house. Well, love the front of your house, Death. I mean, seriously.
bears, man. It's the bears. Oh god,
Yeah,
I hate bears.
Yeah, I ran through the wood. I ran through the front door just a few minutes ago, and freaking, it just a dog came out. It came right out of the door.